Well, from the cold weather to the sunny weather here, welcome, Lauren, to the Leaders Who Care series.
Thank you, Mark. I'm so happy to be here.
Well, I think people are going to see why you're on the series and why you care and how you can make us healthier in different ways here, I guess. But can you start by introducing yourself, not about the business part and all that stuff, but just who Lauren is, where you're from originally, where you are now, family, maybe something you've never told the world you want to reveal to the world now. That would be super fantastic. Stuff like that. And then we'll get going.
Wonderful. Yeah, thank you. Well, I am originally from Rockford, Illinois, which is about an hour and a half west of Chicago, where I live now. I took a more than a brief hiatus to Minneapolis and St. Paul, Minnesota. Lived there for quite a few years as well. And looking back and thinking about my family and kind of early version of me, I was an only child, so I spent a lot of time either by myself or with adults growing up, which I really loved. And I was someone who always enjoyed bringing things into my world that I saw on the outside. So I would watch a movie and then I would watch a movie over and over and over, and I would memorize all the lines, and then I would recreate the entire movie in my living room. And I would do that for things I saw on the news, on TV. I wanted to bring the world to life. And I think at the time that wasn't necessarily very telling about what I would do. But I think now looking back, that through line is so clear that I love to learn and understand and engage by doing and bringing something to life in my own way. So that's a
Oh,
little bit about me and who I was as I was growing up.
well, and I love that. I'm going to mention something in a minute, but you have family, you have like husband, kids. Can you share?
Yep. So I have my husband and our basset hound, Watson.
All right.
So we have a wonderful small family, and recently bought and fixed up a house here in Chicago in the Logan Square neighborhood,
Nice.
old historic home. So we've loved that, and really, really great family. I'm very proud of
We
my
don't
husband.
get we don't get to see the Basset Hound.
He's been taken out of the room because sometimes he causes a ruckus during calls.
We like that when that happens. We'd love to see the Basset Hound sometime before this ends. We'd love to get introduced so we're talking about kid. You remind me of another executive I had a conversation with, and she said when she was younger, she used to come back from school and get all her stuffed animals in a row and share what happened to in school and what with her stuffed animals. Um,
Oh,
and
I
you're
love that.
you're bringing the world in. It reminded me of that. And but she shared it with her thing. What you talk about what you were like as a kid, as a teenager. Um, did that make you think of did you like to act? Did you like to engage? I know, we all talk about, but mental health, and we'll get into that, and loneliness and but I love the fact that you loved, being an only child, if you will, and you were comfortable in your own space and everything. Talk a little bit about what that felt like as a kid.
Yeah, I think it created a lot of space for learning. I was with adults, I was asking a lot of questions and a lot of space for creativity as well, because I had all this time with my own imagination. So, to your question, was I into theater? As I got into junior high, high school, I did really enjoy theater as one of the activities I participated in. I was also an athlete. I what my father is very passionate about sports and being part of a team, and wanted me to play team sports, and I did throughout high school and really enjoyed that. And I think a lot of what I took from that experience and what it means to be part of a team is still very relevant in lessons I apply to my life today.
I can get that. I'm known for sports analogies up the wazoo, for everything, basically. So it's so it's such an important point because I find in all conversations I have, there's threads between what you did as a kid and who you were and whatnot, and some of it's environment and experiences, but some of it's just there in us.
Mhm.
And as you know as well as anybody, being okay with yourself by yourself is so foundational for our health in general, which we can get into. But I'm sure you would agree with that, right?
Absolutely. I would.
Um, So your journey, starting with school, you got I want to get it right, your bachelor's in strategic communications and advertising, which is
That's
creative
right.
and imagination at University of Minnesota, as we would say. Um, what were you envisioning for the future?
Mark, I remember being so excited for the future, and I don't know that I had a totally clear vision for what it was going to be.
Mhm.
I actually ran across a paper I wrote around that time when I was going away from school to school recently. And it was funny. I said in it, which I don't even remember thinking this, but I said that I thought I would have a job that didn't exist yet because the world was changing so quickly or something I'd never heard about. So I
Oh.
think in many ways that's very true. And when I went to school, I wanted to pursue things that I was interested in an effort to find my way to where I was supposed to be. So I was really excited about all the creativity that was being infused into television ads and really was a big fan of some of the big brands at the time and wanted to learn about that and understand what that looked like behind the curtain. I also was very passionate about theater. It was something I enjoyed and wanted to carry forward. So when I entered school, I was actually a double major in theater. Which I quickly found was not my long-term calling. But I will say I took some very important lessons from that. One being um, the relationship and the energy that you have with fellow actors on the stage and with creating characters. I think it's given me a very keen awareness of the energy and the interactions that I have with people day to day. And it also gave me just an incredible perspective on storytelling and what it looks like to tell a story from something very small in your life and how you can build it into something big and impactful and how to really communicate effectively. And that's something I think we all can harness and use in a really meaningful way in our lives. So I'm very grateful I had the opportunity to learn those skills at that point.
Yeah, no, I can get that. One of my sons and two of them have been in the acting world, and one's done a lot. And even as young kids, what they learned from acting, if nothing else would have come from it, would have been exactly what you're talking about, and applies as a foundation. And imagination, which you mentioned early on, I think we need more imagination. And that we used to imagine all the time when we were younger because we didn't have all the TV channels and everything going on.
Right.
So we used to, and I think that's critical to everything. And it's going to lead to what I want to share. Our firm started on the premise that leaders in their organizations can always do better in everything when they're doing good. And there's not a sector out there that does more good and is important to do more good than healthcare. And it's interesting. I had a conversation with a lady who's the CEO of Project Rosanna globally, but she's headquartered in Tel Aviv, and we talked more and more about how we need to take things more personal. Health is very personal, and we need to take everything more personal these days, so that we wouldn't, for example, say, well, only two people died at that thing this time. Well, that's not bad. It's okay. Well, maybe if we thought one of those persons was a person in our family, and things that we take everything more personally, we would be more urgent in what we do. And so I know you landed at companies like with Red Brick Health and Health Partners, and you were engaged in ops and customer and vendor relations, employee wellness, etc. Keeping in mind what I talked about, how health is personal. How, first
Mhm.
of all, how did that happen that you landed with those, and how much did you learn to take you to the executive level roles subsequently that you had?
Yeah. Well, first I'll say I was so incredibly fortunate to land at Red Brick at the time I did, and into healthcare at that really unique inflection point with the infusion of a digital and online service into care delivery and the thought about preventative care and how do we care for people on an individual level further upstream and how can we leverage technology to do that. I was so fortunate to come in at the time. Red Brick Health was just taking off. I was employee number 60 when I came on board, and was so fortunate to get introduced through a dear friend of mine who had come on board and was really excited about the work they were doing and said, "Hey, I think we've got something really great here. You should have a conversation." And coming in, I had the opportunity to enjoy the benefits of a startup of being able to do so many things, wear so many hats,
Right.
but also be very engaged with the product team and really understand the front end and the value we were delivering into the market, the back end, how we were actually delivering that, and really see how where I was contributing into the business, how that could further support that work. And so I think I cannot say enough about the brilliant and wonderful people who I met working at Red Brick Health. And I really believe those relationships and that learning that took me so far in terms of my perspective of the value that we bring to people on an individual level.
Mm.
Um, I was then extremely fortunate to be able to transition over to Health Partners in a very similar business segment, focused in the technology space, but had the opportunity to expand my view within care delivery, which was something that was really important to me and one of the big reasons I joined. Across the hospitals and clinics, the research institute, and the health plan that were all underneath the umbrella. So when our patient that we were serving would leave and go to seek care, I could actually see their journey through our organization, which was just incredible. And I think that really made the experience even more personal for me. And just an incredible team of smart, great people. Again, I speak so highly of that organization. I think they were doing great things and have continued to do wonderful things in the world under their leadership. And being able to see that and really learn the technology piece even further. It really set me up, I believe, for future roles that I would take on as an executive in the business. I would say the three major things I took away from those two roles are the importance of realizing the value that you're bringing to the market, to your customer, to being very focused on how do you keep making it better? How do you keep improving? How do you think about the future and where you sit in that future? And I would say third, and arguably most importantly, listening to your customer and listening to the patient and really listening and doing what they're asking for. If you're doing that, you're going to be successful in your business, hands down. I truly believe that. And I think those lessons stood me in very good stead as I transitioned into executive roles.
Yeah, I love that, especially on the heels of doing the non-flick workshop and active listening.
Mhm.
There you are again.
Yes.
Um, if we only listen to people more and they feel that they were heard, what a difference that makes, even if you still disagree. But it's just takes the edge off of the disagreement. And man, you should have been on like, New Amsterdam and Grey's Anatomy and all that. Just, all those TV shows. And what's the guy in New Amsterdam who says, "How can I help? How can I help?" all the time, in the show. I also want to ask you, our firm was actually launched on International Women's Day, at the UN headquarters, et cetera, because we were very focused on that and still are. Um, it's gotten a lot better, but it's still a challenge and whatnot to be a woman in business environment. Um, and the interesting thing, good or bad, of the healthcare industry is that you're balancing economics and impact, social impact, even more because it's our health, which is personal. It's not just a business. How have you navigated and thrived as a woman, through the years you've done, in the healthcare industry and just in business in general?
Mhm. Yeah, I think that's a great question, Mark. And I think it makes a lot of sense that Fifth Element would be founded on International Women's Day. I love that, and I think it speaks very much to the organization and your values. And
Thanks.
um, I think that's really incredible. I would say, you know, we all make plans for ourselves. I am personally a planner, and someone who thinks into the future and what I want. But I think one of the important lessons that I've learned is the ability to pivot and replan when something doesn't go the way you think it will. And I think that's an important lesson that we as women have learned so many times, but I think it's applicable to everyone. When a door closes, there's another way out, and chances are it's an even better, maybe
Mhm.
less paved path, but an even better and more interesting path that you can take. So I really believe that perseverance and the ability to look at opportunities in different ways, has really been a benefit to me. I am so heartened by the fact that I believe organizations are really truly starting to lean into what does DEI actually mean? What does it mean to create a diverse employee base, a diverse executive team, a diverse board of directors? I think for so long it entered the conversation, but was maybe a box that was being checked. I think there's been some real reflection on what that looks like. And I will say personally, firsthand, the best, brightest, highest performing, most significant impact teams are diverse teams of people who come from different backgrounds, have different experience, different ways of looking at things, different thoughts, and challenge each other in a healthy way.
Right.
And I truly believe innovation cannot exist without that discourse. And so I'm really excited to see that there's a lean into really understanding and creating a diverse environment. And I think we're going to see incredible performance and innovation bred from that.
It almost seems like it shouldn't be rocket science, right? That people with different
Mhm.
experiences and different backgrounds and different ideas, maybe that's a good idea. Maybe the woman who's buying all the products for your company should be on the board of that company. I grew up in Montreal where we didn't talk about having diversity. We talked about, wow, I'd love to try your food. And what books did you read? And what about this? And what about that? And everything. I want to know more about it. It's so cool. If we were all the same, how boring would that be?
Exactly.
So it boggles my mind sometimes. Um, um, the fourth industrial revolution has been said to be technology, and specifically now, AI, virtual reality, etc. But AI is furiously growing, like crazy. And they say though that the fifth is about humanity, and we focus a lot on impact and talent, with tech being a tool, and there's going to be a lot of changes with respect to that. Um, and it also presents a lot of opportunity, especially in healthcare, to be tremendous opportunity in healthcare, but also challenges in every day. How have you seen the healthcare world and business evolve, and you as well, in terms of how AM will impact healthcare in literally so many incredible ways?
Yeah, I am so excited about where we're at right now in terms of technology and the breakthroughs over the last couple of years in AI and really creating usable applications that we can leverage across so many different areas of our lives and businesses. And healthcare is, I believe, destined to lean into technology to continue to grow in the way that we need it to in a high quality and lower cost model into the future. I was very lucky to have the opportunity to work at an organization who was very early in the machine learning space. And so I've had the chance to think about this for some time now and the way
Your imagination went wild.
exactly, exactly. And how can we apply it to the business? How can we do it safely and in the right ways at the right junctures? And I know that it's human nature. We all feel it. The fear of the unknown and concern about job stability with AI coming in and taking over. But one thing I've seen myself and I really believe is that it's not going to take jobs away. It's going to create space for people to do the things they love that only people can do. And I believe healthcare is care is people serving people and helping people, and that's never going to go away. But hopefully, we can take away some of the administrative burden, some of the quality checks that we're doing manually when we're tired, and that we're able to take those things away to allow healthcare professionals to work at the top of their license, to do the things they love, working with patients, and create more value and give space for that. So I am so excited about the ways that technology will be impacting and furthering healthcare and long term, I believe, reducing costs of care.
Yeah, no, amen to that. I think technology initially was supposed to do that. We all talked about it, and we ended up
Mm-hmm.
working more, it seems. And so, there's a whole thing going on right now about getting corporates involved. We're having a lot of discussions on the money they're going to save on basically laying off a lot of people. Should now they should still make more money, but part of that money should be put maybe to upskilling some of those people, and even allowing some of those people to still be on you might call it universal basic income, but that the companies pay for, with eliminating the word socialism and capitalism and everything type of thing, but having those people maybe work in the community also, getting paid that universal income from extra money they've made by layoffs, and maybe being more caregivers, which we need way more of. Maybe, helping with gardens in schools and doing stuff in the community that will be good for the company and the people. And so many things AI, I think, can make happen now if we imagine, just like John Lennon said. And going back to you as a kid. So I love your train of thought on that. In LA, we say, leave them wanting more so we can do a sequel. So we may have to do a sequel with you on this. But I have one more question, related to health to some degree. 2020 was the pandemic. Mother Nature was trying to smack us in the head saying, you guys, do you know what's happening? Or something. And a client told me in 21, he said, the year 2020 was the year that flew by slowly. And I always found that like it's like an oxymoron in a way. Um, with all that's happened, now we're at the end of 24 already, and it feels to some people it feels like COVID was yesterday and then years ago, all at the same time. What are you most grateful for, and what are you most hopeful for?
Well, I have to say your client said it extremely well. I couldn't agree with that more. And I feel like the last few years has almost felt like an emergence from the mist, if you will, in
Right.
terms of getting our footing back. And I know that so often there's conversations around some of the division among people coming out of that time period. But I'm going to choose to look at the other side of the coin today in terms of the positivity that has come out of that. And I think it it created an opportunity for us to leverage technology in new ways for more people to participate and to create a connectedness globally that we did not have before that point. And so what I will say that I'm incredibly grateful for in 2024, coming out of this time period is um, the opportunity to make connections and build relationships with people that I truly believe I would have never met if I hadn't had the opportunity to have a Zoom meeting or connect in different ways. And that has just been so incredible and so enriching. And I know I'm not alone in that. And so I am grateful that others are having that experience too.
Yeah.
And on the looking forward into 25, I'm really hopeful that we continue to leverage those connections that we have with new people and new experiences, and to really listen to each other and to leverage that into innovation and new ideas and building things for the future together. So I'm really hopeful that we have the foundation and that we're going to continue to build on that.
Yeah, no, thanks so much for sharing that. Well, I'm grateful for having a new friend, for sure.
I
That's
am too.
never have enough of those, and that you are a leader who cares and showing it, and I'm hopeful actually for the same reasons, because I have a new friend and you're a leader who cares. So thanks for joining us on this series, and really appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Mark, for having me. I've really enjoyed this time with you.
Thanks.